On this episode of One Man, One Hand, and No Real Plan, we get the upper and lower control arms fitted with their new tall ball joints. One question I got regarding the last video was, why would you do all this? And they didn't fully understand it. One of the things that happens when you lower a vehicle is you change your center of gravity, or your roll center for the car. And so the taller ball joints, they help return the roll center back to where it will handle better. And while an S10 still doesn't have the best positioning, it's not an Indy car, it does improve it to get back to where you get your intersection of your angles much closer to the center of the car and the center of the ground. To kind of explain that, imagine this is the angle of the lower control arm here, and this is the angle that the upper control arm's at. Where they intersect is important. When you lower the car, you tend to steepen this, but then you also flatten this guy out considerably. And so now your intersection's way over yonder. All a taller ball joint does is help restore our angles of our control arms closer to the roll center that the factory designed. Then you get the benefit of being lower with a lower center of gravity and still having what the factory intended. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen the top, and I'm gonna be able to lift it up and replace. The factory one is riveted, but the aftermarket one bolts in. And so we're gonna do that, and I've got the jack underneath there and I've got a strap holding it in place. But I'll take off this steering arm, or I'll be able to lift the upper arm out of the way. The spindle I'll be able to lift off, and then I'll be able to replace both ball joints. There she be. Now all we have to do is unbolt this, and we'll use the ball joint press on that. This is the correct ball joint. Most people, they probably have a problem doing this, but just how I do it is I put them together. Well, it's easier to do than it is to show. But I put the lock washer on top of my nut like that, and then I hold them together so I can go straight in and put it in there. Otherwise, I'd never be able to hold it all together. Upper done. Now the lower will be a different story. Oh, that hurt. Now before we even start this, I'm stating for the record, I've never used a tool like this before, and I've never tried to replace the lower ball joint. So we're going to see how this goes.
One eternity later.
There it went. Haha, that's exactly what I was doing. So I put a touch of lube on the inside of this to maybe help it go up in a little bit better. I've got the adapter to slide it in, and so that's why we put the jack stand under there. Holy crap. So that spring popped out on me, and I don't see any way around. I disconnected the sway bar, and I'm gonna have to redo that real quick, but there's still tension on this, so remember, pretty people need full face shields. Well, I think I figured out why this side was giving me such a hard time. I had the spring in upside down. Well, I'm glad I spent all that time fighting it for 2 videos. Hooray! So I learned a lesson on the driver's side, and so on the passenger side, I put a jack stand underneath the spring cup, and I have a jack stand to catch it in case something happens, as well as a couple other jack stands. But this let me pull it completely loose, and I can lift it off without having that spring fall down. So by using this jack stand here, this is all supported, and all I have to do is lift that off. And now I can do each ball joint. One. Well, I broke the ball joint, where it gets its name from. So I got the rubber off, and I re-lubed the threads to hopefully help that. I tried hitting it with a hammer to get it out. We're gonna try it again, see what happens. I've come to the conclusion that I'm gonna have to just take this off and take it to a shop and get it pressed out, because I don't have enough power there to do it. I don't have enough tools, and I don't have a big press. So I'll take it and get it pressed out, and I'll probably just have them press the other one in for me. So a couple days later, and about 40 bucks, had them press out the broken part and press in the new one to a local shop. And 40 bucks was super easy to get that done. So let's put it all back together. So it went back together pretty easy. I guess after you do this 4 or 5 times, you get fairly good at it. But holy cow, I'm tired of switching this out. I am going to put the wheels on. So I've got the taller ball joints in, and I've got it's sitting on the ground. All 4 tires are on the ground. And now it's not aligned, like it doesn't have an alignment on anything. But if you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button or consider subscribing. If you want, leave a comment. I try to respond to people when they post. And we'll just keep working on it till the next time.